We expect business as usual throughout 2016. It's too early to tell what the future will hold down the road because the company has to make their decisions, and really both boards and both CEOs make those decisions. But I want to reinforce one thing. Xerox is a hometown Rochester company, a long history here, going back to Chester Carlson and Joseph Wilson. A long, storied, great history here. The technology portion of the business is the one rooted right here in Rochester. And it's a very strong business, and we expect that to remain strong. It is truly for us to tell that Xerox does not know what the future holds yet. We're going through the decision-making process right now, but is our hope, our hope specifically that the workforce stays strong here and that it remains where it is. We are here to assist Xerox in any way that we can. The unfortunate reality of Rochester is we've gone through these reductions and changes in the past with other companies, and we always have the chance and the opportunity to absorb those. And Xerox has immense talent. They have a great, very talented workforce here, and again, we stand ready to help any way that we can. I really felt good talking to Mike Zimmer today and getting an update on this on a personal level, and he feels very positive on this. It's, to me, in his words, it provides much more focus for the company in two very distinct areas. They feel it makes great business sense to do this, to split in these two separate companies because of the very differentiations and that focus. But he said to expect business as usual throughout 2016 as these decisions take hold, and we'll know probably more toward the end of this year, early next year. So happy to take questions.
Bob, let's think about the 6,500 employees for a second. They've got some uncertainty in front of them right now. So what can you and the business community do to help them?
Well, the first thing is to wait and see what decisions will be made by Xerox within the next year. We don't know what they are. We stand ready to help in any way that we can, to help Xerox grow and prosper as a company, and if any employees were to leave, to help them, again, be absorbed into other companies here. I've said this many times over the years, if you go around the Rochester region, then what you will find is Kodak talent everywhere. Kodak at one time when I grew up, 65,000 employees, probably about 7,000 today. But Kodak talent is everywhere in this region. And my sense is the same for Xerox. If something happened, if there was any reductions or changes, we would work very hard to make sure we find opportunities for them with all the other investments that are coming here and with the skilled labor that Xerox has at all levels. That is one role of our chamber, is to work with all of our member businesses and to make sure that we find a place for those workers. But I want to reinforce, it's really too early to tell. We don't know. We don't know if that's going to happen. The company could grow in those areas. And just talking this morning to our board member, he has no idea, he's not sure what could happen. And I think every company faces these uncertainties. None of us know. They don't know inside, we don't know on the outside, but we're going to stand by and be there to help in any way that we can.
In their press release, Xerox mentions like a multi-billion-dollar cost reduction, $2.4 billion. I mean, that's got to be some jobs, right?
Well, I saw that. It's going to be certainly a pretty strong reduction in costs, like every company does. I will say we have a very small organization here. We made changes in the last year. We had to make some reductions and cuts. So every company goes through that. To what degree that ends up being in terms of the picture next year, we'll know toward the end of this year, beginning of next year. We just don't know. But they are going to look for ways to reduce costs. Everybody does, and every business faces that. I think everyone locally sees that in our companies today. But again, if there were to be a reduction in force that was not voluntary, if there was a reduction in the workforce, we would stand ready to help in any way that we can. And this is something we're not going to wait until the end, but certainly work with our member companies. And we had examples, one local company, CenturySafe, that is still in a great operation, but with CenturySafe and their parent company, Masterlock, announced 2 different locations moving to Mexico for production. One we have in East Rochester. While the company is still going strong, a lot of those employees were recruited almost immediately by the companies. So if you see that when somebody sees this, clearly with the talent that Xerox has, and we're all aware of that talent, you go out to Webster, look from their main offices downtown out to Webster, great talent. It's going to happen. So there's going to be a number of things that we'll do, but my sense is I don't want to read into the future because I can't, and we don't know. And Mike Zimmer is one of the top leaders here in Rochester. He's on our executive committee and our chamber board. Just had a lengthy conversation with him. We grew up in the same neighborhood, the 10th Ward, so we have some history here. And I'm relaying from his words to you that that he feels good about where they're going with these two companies for the focus. He can't say what it's going to entail, but as I said to you, I've said to Mike on the phone, we're pledging our support to help in any way that we can. And our executive committee is really led on our board by most of the large companies and organizations in Rochester, and we're like a big family. So if something were to happen, we're going to be there to help, and that's our goal. But very premature to even think about that at this time.
Well, we know that Ursula Burns is still sort of on the fence about what her future for the company will be. I know she was here and she received the Athena Award many years ago, so she has some ties to the Rochester area. Can you talk a little bit about her leadership and how important she may be for the future of the company if they decide to keep her on?
I know Ursula Burns personally and have great respect for her both personally and professionally. She lived here for many years and was very active here. She is a great leader. She truly is. She's led the company for a number of years already. She is a nationally and internationally recognized executive. I've not talked to Ursula today, so I don't know. I have no idea to comment on what the future plans are for the company. But she was very strong in her verbiage that I read. I saw a New York Times article and a Wall Street Journal article today. And she clearly is at the helm, leading this change now.
You feel like it's in the company's best interest to keep her on, no matter how the company splits or whatever?
Like we talked before, I would say this: the companies, the CEOs, and the boards make those decisions. It's hard to take a guess, but Ursula Burns is a superb talent. Is recognized again across our country and across the globe. And like the other talent, Xerox, if something were to ever happen, they'd be in very high demand. But I sense that she is leading this change now with her team. And the thing is we all recognize with organizations, whether you're in the media, you're private sector, or government, you have two distinct organizations forming. You'll have two distinct separate CEOs, two distinct separate boards. So those decisions have to be made on business and data and the future of those organizations. And it just was announced today, so there's probably an awful lot of thought and meetings and discussion and analysis that yet to be done. And as I was told a few minutes ago on the phone, you could expect business as usual throughout 2016 and probably other decisions forming early in the next year.
Xerox doesn't work in its own silo. There's a lot of companies smaller in the Rochester area that depend on Xerox, suppliers to them and things like that. If this Webster and even the downtown location ends up getting reduced, can you talk a little bit about how that would affect everybody else in the web that leads around Xerox and what they do?
Well, as we've seen in our history with Kodak, a lot of companies, a lot of suppliers and supply chain organizations here certainly have their livelihoods attached to that company. The same with Xerox. They're right from not only material suppliers, right on down to restaurants and barbershops and stores. Xerox has a large contingent here, large in Webster and also in downtown. Again, it's very premature to even think about that, but clearly if there were reductions, there are impacts. And those impacts have been felt. Those impacts can be very difficult, especially for smaller companies. But I guess we're going to have to cross that bridge when we come to it. We don't know. And we don't. There may be no change. There may be an enhancement. There could be growth. We don't know. But what I've been told is the technology business based here is going very successfully. And that is the bread and butter here in Rochester, is that wing. So, that gives us great hope. Again, both companies will be Fortune 500 companies. They're both world-class organizations and will be. But we're going to have to wait and see. But we're here to support. We're a Chamber of Commerce. We're here to serve our members and our businesses. And the most important thing is to help do everything we can to keep Xerox strong here, keep the workforce strong. And if by chance there were changes next year, to be right there to help and partner with all of our members in this community to make sure we find a spot for those workers.
Have you talked to the governor at all about the possibility of the split and what it could mean for the state of New York?
Well, the governor is with the vice president today in New York City. I've not talked to him today, but I am certain the governor has given a phone call on this, probably from Ursula Burns, had a discussion, and the governor is on top of it. And certainly, knowing the governor as I do, he will have pledged New York State support to help in any way that he can. And it's a big issue. We want to keep them strong, keep them here. The hope is that as they stabilize with this split with these two companies, that the companies can grow. And the business services, I don't think there's any sense we don't know where that will center. We don't know. But again, a technology business is really focused right here, and we want to keep that here and growing. And we don't know. I think at this point, I think we all know about as much as each other. There's no other information that I have, but we have to wait and see, and just have hope that the right decisions will be made, and that Rochester will not be negatively impacted. Thanks, guys, very much. Thank you.